Hello and welcome to episode 157 of Daryl Show Your Work. All right, so in this episode, we're still in the post enumeration phase, but this time I'm going to be showing how we can clear our tracks when compromising a Windows system, and once we've met our objectives and are ready to leave. How do we then clear our tracks? So in the previous video, I shown how to simply delete some logs, from the log entries, as far as security logs, access logs, things of that nature. But I wanted to go a deep further in this video and maybe explain maybe why that's not always a good idea as well. All right, so before I get started, I'm going to preface this video with the usual disclaimer here, since I am going to be taking this all the way through the recon and the exploitation phase to ultimately to get us into the post exploitation phase. So this video is for ethical research and educational purposes only. Any sort of malicious activity that may directly or indirectly come from someone watching this video, I do not take responsibility for, nor do I condone. All right, so as an ethical white hat hacker, it's important to remove any artifacts left over from an engagement on a targeted or compromised system. If let's say a real life attacker were to infiltrate these same systems after our engagement, you could have potentially have done half or most of their jobs for them by creating an exploitation, a post exploitation vector to be exploited. All right, so that's the purpose of this video, as to show how to properly clean up after yourself and how not to cause a bigger mess than what may have been there prior to your assistance. All right. So to start off, I've already done some pre-recording discovery here. Our IP address of our target host is at 10.3.18.161. All right, so I'm just going to jump right into the Metasploit framework. Again, I'm going to just kind of zip through the exploitation phase of this. Again, it's mostly about this the post exploitation phase, specifically the cleanup. So that's what the majority of this video is going to focus on. All right, so if you're looking to gain more insight on the actual exploitation in itself, I have plenty of other videos that go into that a bit deeper. All right, so I'm gonna start off by starting up the PostgreSQL server. No, I'm sorry, not server. I'm sorry, database, and then I'm going to combine that with the step of starting up the MSF console, and that should bring me into the Metasploit framework. All right, now that that's loaded, I'm going to create a workspace for myself. So I'm going to say workspace dash A, and I'm going to call this Win Cleanup. All right, and then I'm also going to set our target host as a global parameter. I don't anticipate using more than one module, but it's just good to well, I actually may actually, now when I think about it, but it's just always best practices to thought I had it copied. Best practices to set things globally where you can, where it makes sense to, so you can work more quickly and more efficiently when running through the Metasploit framework here and use its various modules. All right. So next, I'm actually going to be running an Nmap scan. I'm going to be running it within the Metasploit framework. As I always say, it's a good reason to do that because it saves your output into the Metasploit framework database. So then you could just query whatever those details that you enumerated from the Nmap scan as you go. All right, so I'm gonna do a simple service scan here, and let's see what ports are open. So so once this runs, it's going to enumerate the open ports and the services running on those ports, the version of those services, and that's going to help me to deduce what vulnerabilities are present, and to be able to choose a potential exploit module to then target those vulnerabilities found. So it's going to take a few seconds to a minute. Not long at all here, actually. All right, so we have a few ports open, mainly HTTP and a bunch of the SMB related ports open. So we can see that that port 80 is running HTTP, and it's running the web server, web application server, badblue, which has the vulnerable version present 2.7. And then we can also see that SMB ports 445, 139, and 135 are all open. I would have to probably jump in a little, dive in a little further to see what vulnerabilities may be present here on these SMB related ports. So to save some time, I'm going to go for the low hanging fruit and go with what I know is present, and that's the bad blue vulnerability. So I'm going to search for that. Just say search bad blue. All right, and now that it has those pulled up, I'm going to go for the second option here, which is the pass through buffer overflow exploitation. All right, so I'm going to say use one. All right, I don't believe I have to configure anything, but let's just check. Let's go to show options. Our host has been set globally, so that's already configured. Port 80 is, of course, is configured for us, since this is a exploit module that targets that particular protocol, HTTP. And L host is set to my IP address, and L port looks fine, being set to 4444. So I'm going to run this. I'm going to say exploit, and let's see if I gain entry to the system here. It looks like I have a meterpreter session, which is great. All right, so the first thing I want to do is the initial enumeration here. So I'm going to say sysinfo. Let's find out what we're dealing with. All right, so it looks like we have a Windows 2019 server, 64-bit version of Windows Server 2019 operating system running on this machine, and I have a 32-bit meterpreter session running, and I'm considering upgrading that to a 64-bit session just for stability purposes. But before I do that, let's see what account I have, and what get an idea of what my level of privileges may be. All right, so it looks like I have some elevated privileges here since I am logged in as an administrator, which is great. All right, so I'm going to migrate processes here to upgrade my interpreter session to from a 32-bit session to a 64-bit session. So I'm gonna say pgrep, and then let's see, I'm gonna migrate. Let's see if the explore process is running. All right, looks like it is. So I'm gonna migrate to that process, which is a 64-bit process, and that's going to upgrade my interpreter sessions to a 64-bit session. All right, so if I hit sysinfo again, all right, we can see here that I now have a 64-bit session interpreter that's complementary of the 64-bit architecture of the operating system running on our target host. All right, so now it's time to, first I'm going to show how to remove files manually that we've manually uploaded, and then I'm going to show how to remove files that have been automatically uploaded by the Metasploit framework. All right, so in order to get started, I'm gonna go to the root of the C drive. All right. So and then let's see. Let's just verify that I'm in the root of that drive. Okay, I am. All right, and let's list out the contents of that drive, ls. All right, so looking here, I don't see any temp folder, and it's always good to store your to store whatever files that you're putting on a target host for any reason, to store them in a temp folder, because over time those files just get automatically deleted. So since one's not present here, I'm just going to create one. So I'm going to say make dir, and we're going to create a temp folder, temp. All right, and then I'm actually going to jump into that folder. So I'm gonna say cd temp. All right, so now I'm in the temp folder. All right, and I can just double check that. pwd, that tells me where I am. All right, so now, so as an example, let's say that I wanted to, that you've seen in some previous videos where in order for a netcat listener to be able to catch to be able to catch a connection that may be executed on from my machine to the target host, all right, actually has to have that netcat executable a file actually present on that machine in order for netcat to properly work on that machine, in order for the listener to properly work. So I'm just using that as an example as to why we would as an example why we would move a file over manually over to a target host. All right, so given that scenario, I'm gonna upload that netcat executable. All right, so I'm gonna say upload, and then I have to give it the directory that it's housed in, and that is housed in user share windows dash binaries, and then I want to move the nc.exe file. All right, all right, looks like that moved over. So let's just check the temp file directory, just make sure it's in there. All right, so it's in there. All right, so I mean, it's real simple as far as when this happens. It's just a simple command to get this file out of this directory. We just the hardest part is just remembering, having to go back and remember where we stuck certain files, or to remember to just do it in general. But in order to get rid of this file, I would just simply say remove nc.exe, and then be on my merry way. And then I would just list that out just to verify that it's gone. Now nothing's in the temp directory anymore. Okay, so that's an example of how we can delete files that we've manually moved over to a target host during an engagement, and how we can easily remove those once we've done, or once we've achieved our objectives. All right, so next thing I want to show is how then we could delete those files that may be auto-generated by something such as the Metasploit framework that automates, certain processes or certain exploitation processes. Part of that is that it moves those executable files into either temporary directories that it finds on its own, instead of me having to go through here manually trying to find a temporary folder. I can't find one, creating one. It does this all on its own. And so we then had to go behind Metasploit and then make sure those files get deleted, on our way out. So again, we're not creating a vector for a real life attacker to come and find these files, and then we made their job a whole lot more easier. All right, so to get started on that, I'm actually going to background Metasploit for a minute. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to find a persistence a module that helps with maintaining persistence on a Windows platform. So I'm gonna say search persistence, and then I'm gonna specify the platform here. Say platform equals Windows. All right. So this should narrow down that list. Still have quite a few that popped up here, but the one that I want is persistent service. All right, it appears to be right here, number 11 on the list. So I'm going to say use 11 since that's the module ID associated with it. All right, and then let's go to show options. Okay, so the very first thing that stands out to me is I need to adjust this L port because if you remember, we used port 4444 previously to gain access to the system. So for there not to be a conflict with ports being used, I'm going to set this port, the L port here, to 4433. All right, that way we don't have modules bumping into each other. All right, and then I also need to set the session to one since I only have that one session running, so it makes it easier to know which session to aim this at. All right. And so there's some things, once it's run, there's some things I'm gonna point out that's going on the back end that's going to help know exactly what to do as far as cleaning up after this. All right. So I'm gonna hit exploit. All right, we have a meterpreter session. Okay, so all right, there's a few things to take note of. So we can see here that the meterpreter, what's happening is it's written an executable file to a temp folder within the administrator's directory. All right, so the name of that exe file is vdsde.exe, and it's also that has also created a service that's running here, which is XDHF. All right, so we basically I have to find a way to I have to see if I can access this file going through this directory and to be able to delete it. All right, but there's something else. It's an easier way to do that, but I'm gonna show two different ways we can go about doing that. So we can either go about it the hard way. All right, and we could say well, let's see, what directory am I in right now? See pwd. Okay, so let's take this back to the root directory. All right. Then I'm gonna say cd users since that's the first folder, and then I'm gonna say cd administrator. All right, and then cd app data, cd local, cd temp. All right, and let's list out what's in that temp folder. All right, and there's our file that was created. Okay, so I could do the same thing that I did previously and just do a remove this vd std .exe file. Okay, I could simply do that, but there's a much quicker way to go about getting rid of this file, and actually this exploitation module gives us a way to do so. And so it basically gives us a resource file here that we can use, which automates not only deleting this this exe file from this temp folder, but it's also going to kill the service that's associated with it. So it's going to delete all traces of this being on the system. All right, and so for those that may not be aware, I've done a previous video on this on resource scripts. Resource scripts just allow users to specify a set of msfconsole commands to execute sequentially. All right, and I could actually show what that looks like. All right, so let's see. Let me get a copy this show so I'm gonna copy this and then I'm gonna open it in another terminal just to show what that looks like. All right, let's see. Let's split that and let's apply the font. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna say cat. Right. Okay, so we can see that the way that this resource script works is that first it's going to start off by stopping this XDHS service, and then it's going to delete the XDHS service. And then once it has stopped and deleted that service, then it's actually going to go through and kill the task or the process associated with VDS SDE .exe. And then once it kills that task, then it's actually going to delete the actual exe file itself. So it's going to do it. It's going to basically remove this file and all traces of it in a very clean manner, which is much cleaner than me just going through here like I said I could, and just hitting rm vdsde.exe, especially since it's already running within the system here. So much cleaner, much quicker, much more efficient way of doing things. Especially you want to look for any way of automating things, or any way of moving quickly, since time and efficiency tends to be of the essence when doing these sort of engagements. All right. So next thing that I want to do is well, actually have to do something that's not very efficient here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run this resource script to show how it works, but I'm gonna actually write it out instead of copy and pasting like I just did, because for some weird reason my machine just really doesn't act right when I copy and paste this, and it screws up with meterpreter. And yeah, so if we want this to run smoothly, unfortunately, I need to write this out. All right, so going back over here to our interpreter session, in order to begin to run this resource script, I have to say resource. All right, then I'm going to write out the whole path of that script. Okay, and then that four, that or C. Okay, all right. So just checking my syntax here. Root logs, persistence, attack defense, defense. Okay, looks like everything is good to go. All right, so I'm gonna hit enter. Ah, see, and it still did it. Yeah, it still killed my well. Let me see. Okay, I have an idea how to fix this. Okay, so Control Z. Yeah, I'm a background that. Okay, and let's try this again. Sessions 1. Okay, PWD. All right, so I have to go all the way back. Oops, capitalize that. Okay, why didn't you like that? Oh, well, duh, wrong direction. Then I have to do CD. All right, then users, CD administrator, CD app data, cd temp. Okay, hold on. Let me see what's going on there. Let me see. Oh, local. Okay, I see where I messed. Okay, cd local. Now cd temp. All right, let's see what's going on inside of here. Let's see if it actually deleted it. Nope, it's still there. Okay. All right, let's try this again. So resource root f4 logs defense 6 0 2 0 5 dot 4 9 5 attack defense 6 0 2 0 5 dot 4 9 5 5 dot RC. All right, let's check this again. Root logs persistence attack defense 2006 02 05 495 attack defense. Okay, so let's try this again. Oh, good. Success. All right. Said VSD not found. Okay, so saying it's not found. Okay, so it looks like it actually did what it was supposed to do this time. All right, so like I was saying, it like I was showing you over here, so it stopped that xdhf process and then deleted excuse me, that service, and then it deleted that service. Then it went and killed the task associated with the vdsde.exe file, and then it looks like it deleted that file. So I could double check that by listing the directory, and there we go. It is gone. All right. And like I said, another thing we can do, which I did a whole video showing, is that we can actually clear the event logs, which has the application, system, and security related logs. But again, this should only really be done only if, like in the video that I showed, that we actually have visibility of these logs and know exactly what it is that we're deleting. Because remember, if we're doing this ethically, then we don't want to really do anything that brings harm to the organization or to the client, because I'm pretty sure they're going to need those logs, or those logs are going to be helpful to them in their SOC or administrator or whoever is utilizing those logs. So it's highly discouraged in doing what I'm about to do without some visibility. But if you do have visibility, this is how you do it. All right, so you would say clear. Oops, wrong side. All right. Well, no, I was on the right side. So clear EV. All right, so that's clear event log. So that's gonna hit this, and so we can see that it wiped 165 records from the application log, wiping 783 records from the system logs, and it wiped 2,635 records from the security log. All right. So again, only if you actually get permission to do this. or if you can actually see what it is you're deleting, that's the only time I would recommend doing that. But if you're doing this blindly like I am now, don't do that. But anyhow, so that's how to a few ways of how we could clear our tracks once we're done with any sort of engagement as a white hat ethical hacker. Just giving a brief overview of what I did. I started off exploiting that bad blue vulnerability, buffer overflow vulnerability to gain access to the system. Then I showed how we can clean up after manually uploading files to a target host. All right, and the example that I showed there is using that netcat executable file, upload it to the local directory, and simply just removed it. And just showing it, this is a quick example of how we could do that. Where a more complicated method, where we have actually have an automated something like an automated script or like a framework, like a Metasploit that may be automatically uploading files to a or executable to our target host. Either we could manually go into the file path that is giving us that where it actually stuck the executable and removed it, or we can use the resource script which is provided in this instance to automate the removal of that file, which is more it was uh, recommended. Which I recommend more is because it does it in a more clean fashion where it actually stops the related services, then it kills any type of related task, and then it removes the file. So it's going to be a lot more cleaner, and it's going to be a lot more quicker. And like I said, hopefully in real life, your machine behaves better than mine, where you could simply just copy and paste that resource script to clean that up for you and not have to write the whole thing out. And then lastly, show how you could clear the event logs, the window event logs with a simple command. But again, I highly discourage that if you don't have permission or visibility of those logs, just to be able to know what it is that you're deleting and making sure you have permission to delete those files. Because again, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be administrators or SOC analysts or name any individual that may have real estate in those logs and being able to have access to those. All right, so please like, subscribe, and share. Most importantly, show your work. And until next time, take care of yourself and God bless.